Hello, this is Friday 991,
and RiderlinkSharperedge.
presenting you with our first discussion video, which will also be a review.
Yep.
Should
And the funny thing about the video we're actually talking about is something that we actually didn't believe was going to be posted or even see the light of day, honestly.
Yeah, and what we are talking about is the what is well known, rumored episode of Dexter's Laboratory called Rude Removal. Now, I'm actually going to explain a bit of this. Now, this was actually made. This was actually now. Okay, let me go back.
It's probably easier to talk about it from the very beginning to where what it actually was in the beginning.
Now, if many of you don't know what Dexter's Lab is, I'll actually explain, which I think some of you viewers may know what Dexter's Lab is. Dexter's Laboratory was a show that came out in the 90s. It was actually based off of shorts that were released on the What a Cartoon show. It was turned into its own show. And what happened was during the productions of the seasons, there was one episode that the creator himself had in mind where Dexter creates this machine called the Rude Removal System. And both himself and Dee Dee ended up falling inside, and while the machine was on, and it creates rude versions of themselves that ended up cussing. Of course, if it would have been broadcast then, when it was actually made, all the dialogue was pretty much bleeped that had any instances of vulgar language. And
very questionable language.
Yes. And if this would have been released, it might have been the first out of all these cartoons that had an episode that did involve language.
Yep.
Now, the reason why Cartoon Network did not allow this to air, although the creator said it was made to be aired on television, but the Cartoon Network explained, according to the creator's Reddit conversation of Ask Me Anything, is that Cartoon Network did not want to air it because they found it to be very brutal.
Very, what's the best word? Kind of violent and very, even though most of the series, if you guys have ever seen it, there has been some violence and like cartoon types of violence, but this was...
but mostly it's pretty much the rudeness. It's pretty much the rude versions that...
Just some of the stuff it's suggesting, and even some of the things that it does talk about.
Yeah.
There's some very... not some good stuff that actually was displayed in the video. Originally, it was, I believe, was supposed to... Other than they thought about airing it, and then Cartoon Network turned them down on the offer, mostly because of what the content was actually in there.
Well,
but in the beginning, I do believe that you told me it was supposed to be kind of like a little gag between the creators.
Because a lot of people believed it was originally a gag with the creator and the animators. Because back in the time where Warner Brothers were making cartoons, like the Looney Tunes, all that stuff, they made a gag reel of where it was a Porky Pig cartoon. It shows Porky Pig hammering a nail, and he hits his finger and he goes, son of a gun. Then Lasson tried to say how he fooled them because they thought, and he actually, and I quote him actually saying this, because the clip is on YouTube of Porky Pig cussing. He said, "You thought I was going to say son of a bitch, didn't you?" Now, actually, as I remember, the first time I actually heard about this was I actually read a forum which actually had somebody that wrote this experience at this one this one convention, and they talked about how they had all the kids leave, and they actually warned people not to have their cameras out and all that stuff, and they showed the adults in the convention area, the short itself, and there's a whole bunch of laughter. Now, one of the most rumored quotes from this since it was not released on television, which of course this person might have written it like years later, that Dee Dee called Dexter at one point. Now, I do have to say, please note that we do kind of swear on the show.
It's mostly we're repeating some of the words.
Yeah, so we're going to be, it's going to be a legit thing. So like one point, they said that Dee Dee calls Dexter a skull fucking idiot, pretty much. And, I mean,
you guys can already kind of tell some of this language is something that you would not honestly want to show to kids, because in another scene we will discuss most of the actual stuff we had watched. With it, you see a lot of talking back to an adult. To an adult figure, and what actually happens is these two kids, the rude versions of these people, has taken every little bit of stuff you're not supposed to do. I mean, like, this was stuff your parents would pretty much slap you for.
Yes.
Or wash out your mouth with a soap.
Like, even to this day, like, if I go, like, even back then when I was a kid, if I would said a foul word or anything like that, I mean, I would have literally gone my
butt handed to him.
Yes, exactly. Now,
and I can vouch for that. One horrible word out of my mouth, and my parents would have about grabbed my ear and dragged me to the sink.
Yeah.
Because there's stuff you just don't say to your parents. And
exactly.
You guys can agree with that.
And
there are some things you just don't say.
And look at the stuff that's on TV now. I mean, it's much worse than what this short was. I mean,
this short didn't. It may have even used like maybe only 4 words.
Yeah.
And when you look at some of the stuff now, it's just like, are you kidding me? They wouldn't show this at that time. Why is there any difference that there should be any kind of disrespect to an adult figure at all?
Yeah. Well, so should we start? So should we now start discussing the video now?
Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and just start from the very beginning.
Okay.
And from the very beginning, you think, oh, it's just another Dexter's Lab cartoon entry. It's the same kind of opening, same kind of dialogue, just stuff like that. And then you get to the title screen.
Yes, where you have Dexter mooning the audience and Dee Dee
doing the finger.
Yes.
And if you guys don't know what the finger is, this little finger is alone.
Yes, and of course, although the characters have 4 fingers, so it looks like she's actually lifting her ring finger, but
it kind of looks like she's just holding it like this. And no, I'm not holding it, but it's my ring finger.
Yes,
but when you look at the character, she basically has that many fingers, and it's just like, oh, I see what the
Yeah. All right. So then of course we get the title, Rude Removal, and so the next thing we get to is, I do have to say there are kind of some spoilers here. So
if you guys haven't watched the video, we'll actually leave a link down below just so you can watch it yourself. And if you don't believe us, I mean, you can see the darn thing for yourself.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's on Adult Swim's YouTube channel. So yeah. So what happens next is that you see Dexter working his lab as usual, and Dee Dee comes in, and the first thing is, well, he's using
a blowtorch.
Yeah, and
kids, don't play with blowtorches. Whatever you do, don't.
Yeah,
just don't.
And then what happens is Dee Dee brings in like a gas joke.
Well, of course, they have to have like some of the usual kind of humor they have in there.
And so you find out that Dexter's making this rude removal machine, and they end up getting to a fight. See how rude each other are. But of course, in reality, they're both rude to each other. I mean, look at Dexter. Dexter's calling his sister an idiot, and Dee Dee's always entering Dexter's lab, like literally messing up everything he does in that lab. And of course, they end up getting their asses trapped in the machine right after it gets turned on, after Dee Dee literally kicks Dexter's ass.
It's kind of funny because when he was actually saying it, he's like, "Oh boy, she sure kicked his ass," and I said, "Oh yeah, literally."
Yeah. So what happens is that the rude versions are created. Of course, the non-rude versions they actually have British accents for some apparent reason.
I don't understand how that's normally connected, but there must be some kind of
Yeah,
joke there. I
yeah,
guess.
exactly.
I'm not sure.
And I think, and then it comes to Rude. Now the Rude versions look extremely different. Like their hair is messed up or some of that, but
They kind of have a sour look on their face. Their
Yeah.
hair is really
Here, let me
ruffled.
move
I mean,
move
Dexter's
my
hair
legs.
is actually like down,
yeah,
and then Dee Dee's little ponytails or whatever those are called. I don't know what they're
yeah,
called.
pigtails.
The pigtails are actually like, I swear I looked at it and I thought it was one of those little pork buns you get.
Yeah, so what happens is that the first line of dialogue. Now I have to repeat myself here. The language is bleeped out. So what happens is Dexter literally says, "Where the fuck are we?"
Yeah, you kind of already know what they're going to say as soon as you hear like some of the other words.
Yeah.
But if you don't know, then be aware that we are saying some horrible words, but we
Yeah.
are not intentionally we are intentionally telling you that we are repeating some of these words. Not that we're going to say them ourselves. I mean,
Yeah.
you've seen some of our other videos.
Yeah,
But, I mean, well, most of those we get freaked out or
yeah,
creeped out or whatever the heck
So-
they are. But what happens is each of these people, the Rude versions of Dexter and Dee Dee are basically bleeping out these.
the
horrible words.
language is just bleeped out. They're just saying all these horrible words, and then it comes to the point where their mother tells them that lunch is ready, and
So it's just like, oh, the typical "let's go eat" kind of thing.
yeah, but this one is way out of hand, especially where they start cussing right in front of the mother.
And again, we are not promoting any kind of rudeness towards an adult figure. I mean, you just don't
Yeah.
do that, period.
Yeah, I mean, and like I have to say, every single, and then it goes to this food fight between the Rude Dexter and Rude Dee Dee. I think at one point, Dexter ends up calling Dee Dee a bitch at one point.
I'm pretty sure that's the word. I'm not entirely sure, but
Yeah,
I cannot tell you.
I think what the Rude Dexter says is, hey, don't fucking throw things at me, bitch, or something like that.
Something like that is what
Yeah.
we're gonna assume.
Yeah,
But the stuff is bleeped out, so
Yeah.
honestly, we don't know fully what words are being said.
Yeah.
But you just see the mother's reaction, just like, oh my god, my children
Yeah.
are just cussing at me.
yeah.
How did they learn these words?
Until she gets very pissed off, and
It's
I just
all hell breaks loose.
and
let's
I
just
mean
put it
when
that
Rude
way.
Dexter's like telling her off, I just love the look on her face when like literally the serious look on her face. I mean you can tell that she is literally TO'd like crazy.
It kind of looks like, oh my gosh, she just got KO'd pretty much.
And
By
I mean I
the
can't
exact
even make that
word.
face. It's like one eye wide open and a big huge frown on her face, and then all of a sudden like they leave the room and here comes nice D, nice Dexter.
And what actually happens is they actually split. So both personalities are there, the good
The good and the rude.
and the rude. And it's just like you see what is happening.
Yeah.
And the rude ones go off, and now the good ones are faced
And
with
of course,
what
the rude
hell
ones
is next.
ends up going what Rude Dexter said, quote unquote, going to fuck up their Dexter's lab and all that stuff. And the mother ends up seeing the good ones and sends them into the kitchen to try to clean up the mess that they left.
And the mother has no idea that these two are completely different.
Yeah.
That's the bad part of their kind of situation.
Yeah.
Now they're faced with what actually is happening, and it will eventually. The mother kind of goes off. She says, "You better clean this mess before I get back." And they just kind of put a little note. You guys will watch the video and you'll understand
Yeah.
what we're
And
talking
then
about.
of course, what ends up happening is that they go back to the lab and trick them into going into the rude removal system because they said they might, so they could make duplicate clones and all that stuff, and then of course they get back to normal until finally I think this was probably the most hilarious ending where you see their mother at Dexter's door
holding a bar of soap
and saying,
and if you guys have been in
like,
a family
wash.
where the mom or dad is holding a bar of soap, you know exactly what's coming.
Now, which one of you? Now it's time for me to clean out your filthy mouths. Where it goes to, ironically, just focusing on Dexter, while he just utters the words, "Oh fuck,"
or S word.
It's
either way. It's
yeah, yeah. I mean, okay. I mean, in my opinion, I like this short.
I actually like it.
I mean,
think it was really funny.
It's hilarious.
The bad part is there's some content in there that it's just like that's not actually child approved.
Yeah, exactly.
You see, we're older, and when you're older, you understand the boundaries of where you're going to go with a word.
Yeah, especially this cartoon came out when we were kids. I mean, that's saying something. Now, now the one thing I know you pointed out to me is that, which I never knew of this until you pointed it out, where now washing your kids out with soap is now considered child abuse, I think.
Yeah, it actually is now because it's kind of harsh now to do that. I mean, well, some people can argue giving a spanking is harsh too, but honestly, if you have a form of discipline, I mean, I was spanked when I was little, and
same here.
Some of the older generations, at least our generations, will understand that there has to be some type of connection between what you are supposed to do and what you are not supposed to do.
Yeah,
I mean, this is flat out. This stuff, you have to make sure that if someone is going to watch this and they're younger, you have to make sure that they are not going to take these words that can be any type of word and use it against a adult figure. I mean, that's one, you just don't do that flat out.
Yeah.
And two, that's something you just show respect.
Yeah.
You have to know when you show respect and when you don't.
And I mean, you know what's funny? That when this was probably made, you had a couple cartoons that had episodes that involved this. Like, you had the Rugrats, where you had Angelica learning a bad word, but it doesn't explain about, here, let me adjust the camera a bit, about which word that she might use, but it just cut off to somewhere else and you hear her mother scream. Then you have Powerpuff Girls, which, I mean, this one where they hear the professor say a bad word, and you have like all these different sounds censoring them. Same with SpongeBob, which I think
you have these words that are sounded out, but the thing is, you see the reactions of other people when they say these words. I mean, Angelica's mom's reaction was she screamed.
Oh, and there was also
I'm pretty sure there was one heck of a punishment waiting for her.
Yeah, and there was also an Arthur episode where DW heard a cuss word, and actually they use a bleep for that one. And actually, what was funny was that in that one, Arthur introduced the episode by having a parrot. There was a guy in the background just pressing a button that bleeps out a bad word, and it was for a set of a show called The Altos, which was definitely a parody of The Sopranos. Which I'm still wondering why they referenced something like that, because especially since The Sopranos was not which is a more of an adult aimed show than.
There are a lot of different kind of parodies out there. I mean, YouTube's full of them. Honestly.
I mean, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I actually did one. One short film I did called Mark Cotson, the story of an animator. But I mean, of course, the bleeping out the language was just a big, huge joke. But I mean, of course, the short was way too long. Of course, but I mean, the one thing I was actually wow, I can't even think about what else to say. I mean,
honestly, guys, if you're going to watch this, don't be surprised on some of the content you will see. And honestly, if you're going to put a comment, please be respectful.
Yes.
Because honestly, some of these YouTubers have a hard time trying to get some of this stuff. And this goes out for any YouTuber.
Yeah.
Please understand that you are going to make an impact on someone with your comment by calling someone any type of name, whether it be the F word or any other different type of word. You're going to have an effect on someone. And honestly, I don't believe that language is right anywhere. But I'm honestly
exactly.
no one to talk if you've seen my episodes on my channel.
I mean, you've probably seen parts of my full-length screenplay that I wrote, and I mean, I have like language like crazy in that thing.
And you guys will honestly know that some words do slip. I mean, you guys see me when I'm playing Amnesia. Those words slip out of my mouth.
That happens to me. One time I actually had one slip when my mother was around, but of course she knew it was a slip there.
Honestly, guys.
And of course I was older back. I was older. I was actually older and all that stuff, so, I mean.
Yeah, bottom line, basically what we're trying to tell you is, because of this parody, we are taking this discussion and just saying flat out, there are just some words you have to be very careful on. Just use your words very carefully, and you'll be able to at least have a slight understanding, because so many words can mean so many things now. One word can have at least 5 definitions.
Yeah.
And you could not even mean a bad one at all.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally just a thing, like, language, it's not really necessary for anything. I mean, it's not necessary at all. I mean, I know we're trying to sound like the...
hypocrites?
We sound a lot like hypocrites because we use some bad language here and there, but I mean, we try not to. We try not to cuss or anything like that.
And if you guys have seen some of my videos, which we will leave a link to my channel, I do try to avoid as many harsh words as I can.
Yeah.
Because, honestly, I don't like to cuss.
Yeah, I mean...
It kind of makes me feel bad afterwards, but...
Yeah.
Honestly, it's sometimes it's going to happen. I do apologize for that.
Yeah. Well, I think this should end our discussion really well.
But yeah, we left on the note we wanted to leave on, and if you guys want to say we're wrong or whatever, go right ahead. Try to prove your case, because honestly,
I mean, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to try to say that we're wrong. I mean, literally, language is not a good thing at all.
Language is a double-edged sword. It can be used for good, and it can be used for bad.
Yeah. Well,
but we're going to go ahead and cut it here. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I know this wasn't kind of one of our usual silly, kooky kind of stuff we watch. But,
yeah.
And it kind of feels like we're lecturing here. But honestly, guys, we're just trying to say, bottom line, just be careful of what you say.
Yeah.
Because it can affect you.
I mean, after all, it is a discussion video. I mean, it's on topics here and there. Well, you mind if I...
Go right ahead.
Like and subscribe if you like the video. This has been Friday 1991.
And RiderlinkSharperedge.
And we're signing off.
See you guys later.
Well, that was a great video.
That was kind of interesting, having a different kind of discussion like that.
You know what I forgot to mention in that list of shows? Well, although it's not a cartoon and it's a recent it's a really popular show right now, there was some controversy around the show Modern Family with the episode Little Bo Bleep, where you had the little girl cussing. Of course, yeah, I mean, it got some controversy from the No Cussing Club founder and all that stuff. I mean, yeah.
Well, there's a lot of curse words that you can honestly say, and people.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, you're not supposed to say those.
Yeah,
words.
even with the. I know I wish I could have gone more into detail about this, where you have I know I've seen one. I mean, I don't watch regular show that much, but I mean, there was one episode of regular. I think it was the first episode where it's like where you had you knew what they were actually saying, but they were like using an initial here and there or saying an alternative thing. I mean, I don't know. I mean, yes, I'm being kind of a hypocrite here.
Oh well,
because,
I mean, honestly, how many people can say you're a freaking hypocrite when someone can easily point back?
Yeah.
Okay, here's your videos. Where are you being a hypocrite?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, especially since working on that screenplay. I mean, of course, the screenplay pretty much aiming for a rated R movie. All stuff. I don't know how many times I have the F word in that thing.
Did we leave the thing on?
Oh, oh shit.